Alright, so this is a bit of a recap, just to kind of walk us through the things that we needed to do for part 1 when we were making our flip books. Also just kind of reacquaint you to the slides, your stop motion slides. The place where we're going in all of this is we're going to be creating a stop motion video. But before we do that, we wanted to know about where film kind of came from, how it works, and once we've kind of got that figured out, we're going to make a GIF or a GIF, depending on who you talk to about how to say that word. The creator calls them GIFs, so I'm going to call them a GIF as well for the remainder of this project. But people call them GIFs or GIFs interchangeably. So this week, I'm going to, like I said, recap on what we were finishing up on for our flip books. We'll talk about the requirements so you can make sure you've got those things done. And we'll talk about where we're going after that. Alright, so you can see here you got the title slide, and then below that we're going to put our helpful links on there. So that might be, like right now you got the inspiration playlist on there, so there's a lot of videos on people making flip books that might be some cool things you want to check out, or maybe work with and kind of make your own. This week we're also going to probably be posting some extension stuff for students who are moving quickly. You can get on there as well. Below that we have the first thing you were doing, which is getting onto Edpuzzle and looking at just the history of film. So there you can see the Zoetrope working. That's a 1800s kind of GIF creator, right? So it's a short film that they made. So if you get on here, there you go. So you'll see a series of questions on here. Now what happens in Edpuzzle, if you don't know, you watch the video, but it will pause it at certain points and you'll have to answer those questions. Once you've answered them and submitted them, then it will let you watch the rest of the film, the video. So you're going to do the first one, which is the history of film from caveman days to modern times. And then the second one is more related to your work for the first part of this, which is to create a flip book. So if you hop into here, the second video you're watching was the Edpuzzle, and I also realized that a lot of people either were confused or weren't able to watch it, and I could tell because the flip books were missing a lot of the stuff he talked about in this video. So when you get on there, click on the wrong link. When you get on there, it should walk you through how to make a flip book and how to do it well. And I think this would benefit a lot of you all who are really wanting to do this well. So he kind of goes through and talks, he animates a person who's being affected by aliens. There's a lot of really good information that I think would help a lot of you, so I'm going to check that one out. And then once you have a good idea of how to do a flip book, we have our create slide. So you're creating your flip book, and your task is up here. It says you'll create 2 flip books. You're going to video both of those via Flipgrid. And we'll get into that in a second and what that is and how it works. We've included a video for probably the quickest way to create a flip book. There are other ways. There are ways that might work well for you. I saw on Flipgrid some people were using binder clips and index cards, which is great. That might work better, but not everyone has access to that, so this is a way to do it with just regular copy paper. Once you've made your flip books, you're going to have your first flip book, which is doing something simple. You're going to animate one thing. So most people picked a bouncing ball. So it might bounce around the screen. Might be like a line that moves or dots that fall, but the idea is you're animating just one thing. And on the second one, it's got to have 2 moving parts. So you're going to have a scene of your own, or you could try doing something like a dancing stick person, growing flower, crawling spider, or flying bird. But it's got to have 2 moving things, and it's got to have a background. And you should add color for interest, right? We like to see things that are colorful. And once you've done that, you're going to move down into the Flipgrid. Alright, you'll click on the Flipgrid page to get in, and you'll see all of your classmates who have posted so far. It's not a terrible idea to kind of look through here and see what other people have done so you can get some ideas. That's kind of what that second Edpuzzle is all about. You can go through here and see some of the things that people have posted so far. I'll show you a really good example, or I'll let you look at one. I want to check out Cole's. the Batman one. It's got a lot of comments on there for good reason. Did a really good job animating. So I'm going to check out Cole's if you're looking for a really good example. Alright, so that kind of wraps up the first part where you're making your flipbooks. After that, if you finish early, there are two things you could do. One, we're going to update this helpful link slide and put some extensions in there. So slide 2. But what I'd really like to see, what some of you guys asked last week was, Mr. Wampler, can we keep doing this? And by all means, do that. So if you're finished early and you're like, ooh, I've got another thing I want to animate that's really cool. I want to animate whatever, something like the line video that you saw on this inspiration playlist. Do that. That's way cooler. But we will have extensions for animating if you'd like to use those. After that point, we're going to move into creating our own GIFs. So essentially, a flipbook, I'll click on this flipbook video here. A flipbook is kind of like a GIF, right? So it's a bunch of pictures put together that create the illusion of movement. And so we're going to create our own. I've made my profile picture a GIF. I'm going to change it for this project. But a series of moving pictures that creates movement, we're going to create those. So we're going to start with Google Slides animations, and then we'll move on into a stop motion program. So if you can kind of see that so far where we've been, we talked about the history of video, we talked about flipbooks, so we understand that most videos, in fact all videos, are frames. So we talk about videos in frames per second. If you think of when you're shooting video, it'll often say 30 frames per second or 60 frames per second. A while back it was 24 frames per second. The more frames, the more fidelity or the more information you can pack in there. But our first entry into that was flipbooks. Then we're going to do it digitally with Google Slides Animator, and then use something that's specifically created for stop motion so we can create our videos. That's where we're going. Alright, so this week's going to be mostly about creating that GIF for your profile. So this will be what you can display on your Google account. So whenever you're on slides or docs or whatever, that's what will be playing in the background. Kind of cool, right? So that is this week. If you have any questions, reach out to your facilitator, or you can reach out to your Related Arts team via Microsoft Teams. That'd be Miss Northcutt, Miss Hughes, Miss Malahan, Mr. Pardee, and Mr. Wampler. All right. So looking forward to seeing what you guys put together. Can't wait. Again, let us know if you have any questions. See ya.